175 candidate packets picked up from the Guam Election Commission, aside from the 4 for Consolidated Commission on Utilities and 8 from the Guam Education Board. 75 made the May 1st deadline to run in either the delegate, senatorial, or mayoral races. Hafaday, I'm Nick Delgado. This is The Hub, your Decision 2024 Election Central. We begin with showing you who all filed to be on this year's election ballot. Let's break it down. An independently generated ballot by KUAM compiled from the candidate filing list. We've got your unofficial Decision 2024 ballot here on The Hub, starting with the race for Guam delegate. 3 candidates under the Democratic ticket filing by the May 1st deadline. In no particular order, they are Amanda Shelton, Michael St. Nicholas, and Ginger Cruz. The lone Republican candidate is incumbent James Moylan. Ken Leon Guerrero confirming with KUAM he did not get enough signatures to file and compete against the incumbent in the primary. This means the Democrat candidate that gets the most votes on August 3rd will move forward to the general in November to compete against the sitting congressman. In the race to fill 15 seats in the 38th Guam legislature, we should note this includes newcomers, incumbents, former senators, and former candidates. Here on The Hub, we are showcasing them as incumbents and newcomers. Starting off on the Democrat side of the ballot, again in no particular order, the newcomers are David Crisostomo, Angela Santos, and David Duenas. The incumbents looking to return for another 2-year term again under the Democrat ballot are Roy Kanata, Joe St. Augustine, Darryl Chris Barnett, Dwayne St. Nicholas, Tina Rose Munya Barnes, William Parkinson, Sabina Perez, and Therese Terlahi. On the Republican ballot, in no particular order, the newcomers are Bistra Mendiola, Committee to Draft Eloy Gumatautau, Shelley Calvo, Vicente Ada, William Payne Jr., Vic Gaza, Sabrina Salas Matanani, and Vincent Borja. The incumbents under the GOP ticket are Tello Taidagui, Jesse Anderson Lujan, Christopher Duenas, Frank Bloss Jr., Thomas Fisher, and Joanne Brown. And if you're keeping count, that's 25 total senatorial candidates with 14 incumbents and 11 newcomers. Also 14 under the GOP race and 11 in the Democratic race. Could the Republican gain control in the legislature with more candidates on their side? The answer is up to you, the voters. Now to the mayoral race. Every candidate that made the filing deadline will be on the ballot in their respective villages. For these ballots, we will go down in alphabetical order by village. And again, the candidate is named in no particular order. In Agana Heights, where longtime Mayor Paul McDonald is retiring, 2 Democrats, Richard Arroyo and Kevin Masnayan, to compete in the primary. John McDonald is the lone GOP who will advance to the general. In Asin Maina, 2 Democrats, incumbent Frankie Salas and Leslie St. Nicholas. In Barragata, the incumbents Democrats Mayor June Blas and Vice Mayor Jesse Bautista are running unopposed and will maintain their seats. Ordot Chalampago's Mayor Jesse Gogi also not seeking another term, hoping to fill the seat running as a Democrat Wayne Santos and running as a Republican Timothy Flores. In Dededo, longtime Mayor Melissa Savaras is retiring as well. Her Vice Mayor Peter Benavente, a Democrat, hoping to take over. Elena Garcia is also seeking to fill the seat as a Republican. Running for Vice Mayor, Democrats Ann Leon Guerrero and Samnak Obina, and Republican candidate Risa Espina Hilit. In the race for Hoggett Mayor, incumbent Kevin Sasuiko, a Republican, will go against GOP candidate Raymond Arceo in the primary. Mark Charfaris is running as a Democrat. Running for Vice Mayor, incumbent Christopher Farron, a Republican, and Ruben Herrera, a Democrat. In Hagutnya, longtime Mayor John Cruz is retiring. 2 Republican candidates, Michael Gumatautau and Jovina St. Augustine, are vying to take on the spot to lead the island capital. In Humatak, incumbent Mayor Johnny Kanata, a Republican, will compete against Democrat Gilbert Uggan. In Alahan's Mayor Anthony Chargloff Jr. is running unopposed and maintains his role. In Malesu, longtime Mayor Ernest Chargloff is stepping down too. 2 Democrat candidates, Stephen Cruz and Franklin Champaco, are in the running. In Manilao, incumbent Alan Ungata and candidate for Vice Mayor Edward Tosco are running unopposed. In Momong Totu Mighty, incumbent Rudy Paco is running unopposed and maintains his seat. In PD, incumbent Jesse Alec will maintain his seat as well, also running without any competition.
Santa Rita Sumai's longtime mayor Del Alvarez is retiring, leaving his seat vacant for one of 4 candidates running. 3 Democrats include Anthony Jr. Dwayne Nicholas, Hill Jr. Leon Guerrero, and Del Alvarez looking to fill his father's shoes. Janalu Lizama Salvador is running as a Republican. Sinahania's Mayor Robert Hoffman will maintain his role, running unopposed. The same for Talipopo Mayor Vicente Taitagui, who is running without competition and will continue leading his village. In Tamuning, incumbent Luis Rivera is running unopposed and will maintain her seat. Incumbent Albert Tovez will be competing against Republican candidate Delbert Calvo for the vice mayoral seat. In Jigo, incumbent Anthony Sanchez, a Republican, is running against Democrat candidate Francis Lizama in the mayoral race. Democrat Pedro Blas is running unopposed for vice mayor. And finally, in Zotnya, incumbent Bill Kenga, a Democrat, is running against Democrat candidate Brian Jess Terlahi and Republican candidates Debbie Lujan and Franklin Heighton.
The candidates are being contacted by the Guam Election Commission this week and will draw their numbers to be placed on the primary ballot. And if you haven't yet, a reminder, July 18th is the last day to register to vote. Coming up on the Hub, students at the University of Guam hosted most of the candidates for the Guam delegate race during a congressional assembly. A look at that when we return. This is the Hub. Among the races to watch this election, the delegate race, 3 Democrats and 1 Republican. Welcome back to the Hub. A group of University of Guam public administration students doing their capstone on this year's election, and rightfully so, coming up with questions of their own for candidates seeking to represent Guam in the nation's capital. Here's a snippet.
The limitations of the questions that we had here really make it difficult for me to explain to you how much time I spend every single day thinking about these issues that Guam faces and unique ways that we can solve them. There's a lot of different novel ideas that I have for solving these issues. And the platform that I have as I move forward, because I've moved home to Guam and I want to make this my home for not only myself, my daughter, my grandson who's now at Mercy Heights, but I want this to be a place where opportunity keeps our people here. Why do so many people, our best and brightest, get pulled away and go to the States? Why is Guam not as bright and optimistic as it used to be before I left? And in the 5 years that I've been back, I've been trying from the private sector side. I've been trying when I was teaching here at UOG to think, what is it that we need to do? And I'll tell you what it is. We need to think bigger. We need to have somebody in Washington, D.C. who has a vision for how do we make our lives safer and leverage an opportunity where the whole world is looking at us. With this whole challenge between China and the United States, everyone's looking at Guam and saying, what do you want? What can we do? How can we make Guam better? And we need to have the answer to that. We need an entire vision built together with all of our local community, with all of our local leaders, and then we need to knock that off and do it. Not only do we need to lower costs, we need to raise the salaries and raise the opportunities. We need high-tech industries. We need good-paying jobs. I want to see students graduating from the University of Guam and able to take $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year jobs in this new tech industry, and then use that to build a stronger Guam. And so I humbly ask you, take a look at our website, gingercruise.com, come out to see us along the campaign trail, and I hope to have much more conversation with you in the coming months. Thank you.
I'm a known quantity here, and I thank all of you for the opportunity to have served you over so many years. I was your senator for a number of years. I was your congressman for a number of years. But in all of those years, we've all succeeded together and we've struggled together. We've accomplished great things, and we've had quite a few disappointments. But it's been an honor doing it with you, and I would love to do it with you some more. As you've heard us today discuss, there's so many great things that we can continue working on in the Congress, and I would really love for the opportunity to do that for you. I'm very outcome driven. You know, we can talk about things till we're blue in the face. It's one of the things that I just don't prescribe to when it comes to public service. Because as much as we'd love to meet and as much as we love to discuss, if all we're going to do is keep talking about things, or giving reasons why things are a certain way, but never actually pursuing the solutions that we're talking about, then the lives of our people doesn't change. The lives of our people does not change. And if it doesn't change, then we're going to be sitting back talking about the same things all over again. And we see that all too often here on Guam. For those of us who are my age and older, we know we've had these headlines about our hospital for decades. We know we've had these headlines about our schools for decades. These guys should not have to see those same headlines over the next decades. And the only way we're going to change that is to be outcome driven. And so I'm asking all of you to please vote for me and make me be your congressman again, because I am outcome driven. We have our brochures out there in the back, and you know, you're more than welcome to have some more. You can see all of our outcomes. We talked about some of them today. You can see all of the things that we want to do for Guam. We talked about some of them today. These are serious outcomes that we can deliver for our people if we all come together and work for it. So I'm humbly asking for you guys to please vote for me to be your next congressman again. It's so rewarding, this journey of public service, you know, and just being able to see the change and believe that we can make it happen. That's something that I really hold fast to. My family is just absolutely supportive in this calling. And we would love to serve you again if you will so have us. So thank you so much for having us at least here tonight this evening, and for considering us as one of your choices in this election. Si Diyos maasi, maraming salamat po, Kinsa Chaplain. Thank you so much.
I want you to know that as your congressional representative, I will be there and be accessible as I have been as your senator over the last 6 years. I see so many familiar faces in the crowd, and I know that you know me. You know me. I'm Amanda Shelton. I've been the chair here of the University of Guam over the last 6 years, fighting to stave off tuition increases, fighting to bring more scholarships to students, bringing more funding for technology in the library and different programs and opportunities here in higher education. That's the same passion and love for Guam and our people that I will bring with me to Washington, D.C. Guam is my home. It's the heartbeat of my identity. All of the shared experiences that we have together is really what fuels me and my commitment to public service. Because as a young person too, I would like to go off and make lots of money and have a cool, fancy career, but my heart says that the people of Guam deserve my service and deserve the willingness and the work that I will do for you. And so I humbly ask for your vote this election. I ask that you join me in this campaign. It has just begun. This is the first time we're all together here. And if there are any students who are interested, I'd like to invite you to join our campaign as a congressional campaign intern and join the Shelton for Guam team. We have lots of info outside on the table, and I humbly ask for your vote and for your support. And please register to vote. I think that's what Ms. Pangilinan has been urging all her students and all of you who are in the audience today to do. And I know you're probably some of the most engaged people on the island, so we don't have to tell you, but spread the word. Tell your family and friends. That's the most critical thing they can do. Register to vote, because the people who register to vote get to shape our future and get to choose the leaders of our island. Thank you.
And as you also saw, incumbent James Moylan is the only candidate who was invited but did not attend. But don't worry, KUAM will bring you more to learn about the candidates in the days and weeks ahead. Next on The Hub, a spat between senators and the administration. Dozens of Guam's children there to witness and capture the public feud with their cell phones. Keep it here. Welcome back to The Hub. A town hall heard across social media, elected officials in a spat in front of students at a local high school. Take a look.
If we can get through these challenges for several months, was any of our achievements enough for you to push for the rebuilding of Simon Sanchez High School?
Simon Sanchez High students cheer on their classmate as she spoke to the administration and legislature at a town hall held at John F. Kennedy High. It's where they've been sharing a campus in double session after their Jigo school was condemned. And after nearly 2 hours into the talks, the Education Oversight Chair, Senator Chris Barnett, who is up for re-election, taking shots at the administration sitting just a seat away.
So Senator Roy Kanata, who is a graduate of Simon Sanchez, introduced a bill last year And this bill was exactly what the governor and lieutenant governor said that we needed to do to build Sanchez. So of course, we were more than happy to support the bill and get it passed, and we sent it over to the governor, lieutenant governor in July of last year. I don't know why it took so long to reach this point for there to be a protest, but I do know that the legislature, especially Senator Kanata, his committee, and all the senators wanted to build the new Sanchez ever since. And Senator Kanata and I just got here, but I have to say this because I'm the kind of person who's going to say what has to be said. The governor, lieutenant governor have been in office for 6 years, and we have seen no action on Simon Sanchez. You lied. You lied. Governor, lieutenant governor, build Sanchez now.
Students capturing the moments that followed when the senator walked off, the governor clearly upset. The administration accusing the senator of grandstanding, responding that, quote, real leaders unite to solve problems. KUAM's Destiny Cruz speaking with acting Governor Josh Tenorio that week.
There was a town hall meeting on Simon Sanchez. It appeared that your mic was muted and you weren't able to properly respond to Senator Barnett's comments. So what were you trying to respond with?
Well, you know, I thought about it. I don't think that it's proper for us to be bickering in front of students. And so I don't think that it was that my mic was muted. I don't think I probably turned it on. And I thought about immediately responding, but then I took an immediate moment and thought it wasn't the right way to get something done like that. For me, when we have public discourse, it's our responsibility as leaders to disagree better. And I don't think that getting into a street fight in front of students is the way to go. So I didn't respond.
And where do we go from here with Simon Sanchez?
Well, Simon Sanchez has, well, let me take this opportunity to talk about what we have done. We completed a soil study. It was contracted. We completed a engineering and design. In fact, an environmental study was done that even had to take into consideration moving the campus a little because of endangered species that was discovered there. There was also the survey of the property. So there have already been 4 significant steps made towards construction, steps that were never taken before. We now receive 6 respondents for a construction management contract to get professional services to guide Government of Guam and DOE to make sure that the design that has been approved by the school community is what is going to be constructed. We are in the procurement process right now. There is an additional complication because of the legal dispute that has occurred with the Office of the Attorney General. But because that's the judicial system, I'm confident we will get some guidance. And I believe and I'm confident that we can get through and the best construction management firm will be selected so that we can get out to bid. Behind the scenes, Guam Economic Development Authority has already been socializing and asking for market interest to come in and give the financing to the nonprofit provider for the school. So the school project is further along than it's ever been. That, of course, doesn't mean that the school community is not agitated, right? They've been displaced for a year now. Anybody in that situation is going to be angry. But it really needs the adults in the room to be able to communicate more effectively.
Next on The Hub, we check in with the Guam Election Commission to talk about what happens now that the deadline has come and gone to file for candidacy. This is The Hub. Less than 90 days now until the August 3rd primary election. Guam's delegate, senators, mayors, and vice mayors, along with the Education Board and CCU, will be on the ballot. We close out The Hub by checking in with the Guam Election Commission. And for more election coverage, you can always check out KUAM.com. I'm Nick Delgado. Stay safe. There's already a lot of talk about what's to happen ahead of the GEC meeting on Thursday, including whether or not it would be financially responsible to hold a primary for certain races. What's your response to that?
The Guam Election Commission is looking into it. We have our commissioners, our legal counsel. We're going to have a meeting on Thursday at 5:30, this Thursday, May 9th at 5:30. So it will be discussed then. It may, as we look at it, we don't know. We need to clarify if the Guam Election Commission is able to minimize it, minimize the cost. But again, we will look into it and it'll be discussed at the meeting.
At this point, do you have an estimate of what the cost will be given the candidates that did file?
So we initially estimated the cost of a primary to include the early voting at 400,000. At this point, if things were to change, if we minimize if what appears on the ballot is only those that are contested or who have competition, we'd have to look at it and look at the cost again. As you may know, right now our challenge is finding a venue for early voting. So we're in the process of issuing now a request for quotation for just the primary for early voting. And then for the general, it'll be the next fiscal year. So we will issue a request for quotation for the general in the new fiscal year. As far as the cost goes, Nick, I would need to get back to you to look at the different scenarios that are before the Guam Election Commission.
But safe to say the estimate as of today is still 400,000.
Yes.
Okay.
If all else remains the same.
Okay. Did you want to talk about those anything more about the races that have had made the deadline?
Oh, so again, the Guam Election Commission, we here are still looking and verifying the candidate files. We are still in the process of looking at nominating petitions. Yes, we are. So with that said, but what we have, based on the candidates who filed, we have 75 total candidates that are slated to be on the ballot. Of the 75, we have three Democratic candidates for the congressional delegate and one Republican candidate. The different mayors for the different mayors throughout the island. We'll begin with Hagåtña, and Hagåtña has two Republican two individuals, two candidates on the Republican side for mayor. Altogether for mayor, we have 36 candidates. So Asen too has a competition on the Democratic side. PD has no competition. The current mayor will appear by himself on the ballot. With Haget, there are two candidates for the Republican side and just one candidate for the Democrat side. Santa Rita, Umatak, Malesu, those all have competition, either on the Republican or the Democrat side, or one-on-one. Yes. And then in Ilahan, he's by himself. Talafotfu, Inalahan and Talafofu, both mayors are unopposed. The sitting mayors, they're both unopposed. In Jonia, we have competition, 2 on the Democrat side and 2 on the Republican side. Did you want me to go on, Nick?
No, that's fine. I think most of the what I was interested in portraying to the voters today was about the senatorial race,
Okay.
and just how we have 25 candidates from both parties. Notably, with regard to the Democratic side, it's only 11, and so there's talk going around of of all candidates should just proceed to the general. But you answered that off top.
Yes, and Nick, then it would have to be that we push both sides to the general, because neither side made the 15 have 15 candidates.
And that's not a requirement, right?
No, it's not.